Hi friends, this is Selvajang here. Welcome to my networking channel. Hope all are doing good. And today the topic I'm going to discuss about how to configure a static route in a Fortigate firewall. So each and every firewall I connected three port. One is for WAN port, that is port 1. The IP is 192.168.1.1 and the other end IP is 1.2. And port 2 is a LAN port. So this firewall 1 it is 10.1. For firewall 2 it is 20.1. And the third one port 3 it is a management port. This is 84.51 and 84.52. So this is for accessing the GUI of firewall 1 and 2. So in this architecture, I am going to show you how to configure a static route through GUI, the graphical interface. So prior to that, first we have to define these graphical interfaces. Okay. So first let us log into the CLA of firewall 1 and 2 and then let us configure the graphical one. Afterwards, we'll configure the directly connected LAN and WAN interfaces. Then we'll create a policy. So the policy is for allowing WAN to LAN and LAN to WAN communication. And the final step is to create a static route to the remote network. Okay, so these are things I'm going to do. First, let us quickly configure this GUI port. Okay, GUI interface. Then we'll access the GUI of firewall 1 and 2 and we'll configure a static route. Okay, so these are the steps we are going to follow today. First, let us open this notepad and this is one easiest way to configure any specific interface. This interface nothing but port 3 is for a graphical thing. I'm going to configure for firewall 1 and 2. Okay, so what are things we have to do is config system interface, edit port 3, we have to set the mode to static. By default is DHCP. So set the mode to static and assign a static IP and allow access is HTTP, HTTPS and ping. Okay, so just copy and paste it on the first firewall. Just go here, just paste on the first firewall and just click end. Now let us view the first configuration. So system interface port 3. Okay, this is for accessing the GUI of firewall 1. Okay, so 84.52. So let us make this as 52 and let us give this as 53. Okay, so we have made it as 52, right? So this one we can change it to 53. So the second one, let us make it as 53. So just I'm editing only the IP, just copy and paste it on the second firewall. Okay, so login. Now paste it on the second firewall. Just click end. Show system interface port 3. This is 84.53. Okay, and the first firewall is 84.52. So now let us open the Chrome browser and access this GUI of firewall 1 and 2. Then let us proceed with the configuring LAN and the WAN interfaces for firewall 1 and 2. Okay, so go here. So this is firewall 1. Let us open it. 192.168.84.52. Okay, just log in with the username and password. Admin. And similar way for the second firewall we have configured as 53, right? 53. Username is admin and the password is okay. So these are things we have configured for accessing the GUI of firewall 1 and 2. So this is the first step we have done. The second step, let us configure this WAN and the LAN interface for firewall 1, and for the firewall 2 we have to configure this IP. Okay, so let us go to the firewall 1. Host name is port 1. Just click network interfaces and already we have configured the port 3. This is for accessing GUI. So now let us click the WAN interface. So WAN interface is port 1. Okay, so first let us configure the WAN interface and the alias name is WAN interface, and we have to specify the role as WAN and I'm addressing mode is manual and the IP 192.168.1.1 slash 255.255.255.0. It's a 24-bit mask. 24-bit mask. Then we access this, enable these particular services. Okay, now just click OK. Just click OK. Similar way, let us configure the LAN interface for the firewall 1, that is 10.1. Okay, so that is port 2. Just click port 2 and the IP alias is LAN interface, and let us name the role as LAN and let us assign the IP 192.168.10.1 slash 255.255.255.0. Ping communication is enabled. Just click OK. So now the first step we have done for the firewall 1. Let us go to the firewall 2 and let us configure the WAN as 1.2 and the LAN as 20.1. Okay, So go to firewall 2 and just go to network interfaces, and we have to configure the port 1. Okay, so that is for WAN port of the firewall 2. So just make the role as WAN, alias as WAN interface, and then we have to click it as manual addressing mode. IP is 192.168.1.2/255.255.255.0, and this communication is already enabled ping. Just click OK. So this WAN interface. Now let us configure this interface 20.1. Okay, so go here, and LAN interface is port 2, right? So this is the thing we have configured, WAN interface 1.2, and the LAN is port 2, and the IP is 20.1. As per the architecture is 20.1. Okay, so make it as LAN, alias as LAN interface, and the addressing mode is manual, online 192.168.20.1/255.255.255.0. Just enable the ping communication, just click OK. So I have configured the LAN and the WAN interface for firewall 1 and 2. Let us quickly now ping the LAN and WAN interface for individual firewall 1 and 2. Then we will configure the policy. So we have to create a policy for the LAN to WAN communication. Otherwise, you can't ping from PC1 to PC2. Okay. So the policies and the static route is mandatory for the communication between this PC1 and PC2, which are in an entirely different subnet. So PC1 IP is 10.2. PC2 IP is 20.2. So for that communication, these two things are mandatory. So now let us pick the ping the individual interfaces. Okay, admin port. Okay, show system interface port 1 is for WAN. Okay, so execute ping 192.168.1.1. I am able to ping, and also now let us check the port 2. It is for LAN interface. Execute ping 192.168.10.1. that also I'm able to ping. So now let us go to the firewall 2 and let us check the interfaces. Okay, admin port, and how to check, show system interface port 1 1.2 and do a ping, execute ping 192.168.1.2 1.2, and also the LAN interface, that is port 2. Okay, so that is 20.1. Okay, execute ping 192.168.20.1. I'm able to ping. So now let us do a ping from this IP is 10.2. Okay, this IP is 10.2. Let us ping 10.1, and also the remote IP also we cannot ping unless we have to create a policy. Okay, so now let us ping the gateway. For this PC1 IP is 10.2 and the gateway is 10.1. So 192.168.10.1 I am able to reach. How about 1.1? So you are able to see, right? So I am able to ping from to here, not to this interface. So that means we have to create a policy from a WAN to LAN communication and a LAN to WAN. So I have to create two policies. So let us go to the firewall 1 and 2 and let us quickly configure the policy. Okay, so I'm in firewall 1, that is port 1, and just go to policy and objects, click the IPv4 policy and just create new. Okay, so by default an implicit deny policy is there, so that is the reason we are not able to reach from this particular interface to this interface, LAN to WAN. So let us now create two policies. Okay, so create new. Let us make the rule as rule 1. Just I'm naming convention I'm doing as rule 1. Okay, incoming interface is from WAN interface to LAN interface, and source address we can give just all, destination just I'm giving all, and schedule is always, and service is also all, and action should be accept. Okay, so these are the main thing I have to configure. Just click OK. Similar way we have to create a second rule for LAN to WAN communication, and then let us do the ping. Okay, so first rule is created for WAN to LAN. Let us now create it for LAN to WAN. Okay, so let make it as rule 2, and LAN interface outgoing is WAN interface. So this let us make it as all, and service is just click all, or you can create only specific service also. In this particular thing just giving all service and just click OK. So now let us do a ping to 1.1 interface. Okay, so previously I'm not able to ping. Now let us check the ping. 1.1 I'm able to reach, and 1.2 I'm able to reach, and how about 20.1? So still I'm not able to reach this particular interface. I'm still able to reach till 1.2. From here I'm able to reach 1.1, 1.2, not this. So obviously I have to create the policy for LAN to LAN and LAN to WAN communication, and then let us check the rule. Okay, so now let us also check the second firewall and let us create the rule accordingly. Okay, so go to policy and objects, okay, and IPv4 policy, and create two policies. So by default an implicit deny policy is there that will not allow us to communicate. So just create a new policy, name it as rule 1 for WAN to LAN, similar way first firewall, and from LAN to WAN. Okay, just click all. So I can create the specific address also, or I can just give source and destination all, and service I'm just giving all, and action should be accept. Just click OK, and then go to the second rule. So first we have created WAN to LAN, and the second rule is from LAN to WAN. Okay, so create and rule 2. So WAN we already done, right? So now LAN to WAN. So source should be all, destination can be all, and the service is all. You can, if you want to select only ICMP, you can do that. Just click OK. So we are done with the second step also. We have done the policy configuration. So now let us do a ping and let us check. Okay, so now let us do a ping also. So what I'm going to do now, let us do a ping from this particular PC1. Let us ping 20.1. Still I'm not able to reach. How about 20.2? Still it is showing destination unreachable. Why? Because still we have not created a static route. So I'm just pinging from PC2 to gateway and this particular IP. Let us see. So 192.168.20.1 I'm able to reach from PC2, and 1.1 also I'm able to reach. How about 10.1? 10.1 still I'm not able to reach. So I'm not able to ping between the two different gateway which are in entirely different subnet. So obviously I have to create a default route pointing to this particular firewall. So let us go to the firewall 1, and for firewall 1 and go to static routes. Okay, so go to network static routes. Okay, and I'm going to create a default route. Just go to create new. Okay, and the destination should be like this. And now let us change the gateway address to 192.168.1.2. So from the firewall 1, this is the gateway. So I'm just only defining the gateway 192.168.1.2, and automatically take the interface. Interface is this WAN interface. Just click OK. Similar way, go to firewall 2. From the firewall 2 perspective, this is a default route. I'm going to point out to this gateway, that is 1.1. Okay, just like Cisco will do, right? IP route 0.0.0, 0.0.0 followed by the gateway. Similar way here also I'm doing the same thing. Okay, so second firewall, go to just network and a static route. Okay, and now let us create a static route pointing to the firewall 1. Okay, so 192.168.1.1, it will take the interface automatically, that is WAN interface. Just click OK. So we have done with most of the configuration. We have configured the graphical interface, particular port. Then we have configured the LAN and WAN interfaces. Then we will enable the policy for a LAN to WAN and WAN to LAN communication. Finally, we have created a static route to the pointing to the remote destination network. So now let us do a ping from PC1 to PC2. So now I'm able to successfully ping from the PC1 to PC2 host, and PC2 let us ping the PC1, which is entirely in a different subnet, right? So PC1 is in 20 subnet. Let us ping the 10.2 subnet. So now I'm able to successfully ping between PC1 and PC2. So this is how you can configure a static route. So these are the basic steps you have to keep it in mind as per Fortigate firewall is concerned. First, we have to configure the management port interfaces for accessing the GUI. Then I configured the directly connected LAN and WAN interfaces. Then we have created the policy for a LAN to WAN and WAN to LAN communication. Finally, we created a static route for a end-to-end communication, because PC1 and PC2 are entirely different subnet. So I created a static default route. Okay, so this is how we can configure a static route. So I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Thank you.